The name of this course is Administration and Supervision in Early Care and Education. And so there are different things that set us apart from non regulated care. Some of those things that separate us from non regulated care include the standards and regulations that we have, such as licensing, and those are state laws which require minimum standards. The labor laws, those are regulations and laws that protect our workers and our employers. And the early learning standards, different local ordinances and building codes, board policies or corporate policies, and accreditation or quality rating systems. So, in addition to these external guidelines, our own skills, knowledge, attitudes, and integrity influences the quality of our leadership and management skills. Now, in Chapter 1 of the text that we use, Leadership in Action, Paula Jordy Bloom lists 4 major skill sets we need as administrators. They are number 1, communication, number 2, decision making and problem solving, 3, interpersonal skills, and number 4, organizational skills. But one skill that administrators can develop that will help with all of these areas is what is called emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence, or EQ, is the ability to read people as well as we read books, sometimes referred to as emotional literacy. It means we can interpret our own and other people's needs and desires. In a word, it means respect. Dr. Daniel Goleman, who created the concept of EQ, says that 80% of our important life decisions utilize emotional intelligence. So, people with high EQ understand number 1, what motivates me? What gives me the drive to achieve? What allows me to demonstrate optimism even in the midst of failure? And how to have organizational commitment. And number 2, they understand what their strengths and weaknesses are. You need to be honest with yourself. You need to be honest with yourself about what your strengths and weaknesses are. The Kersey test that you took earlier in the course is one tool that can help make you more aware of where you might need improvement. We are constantly changing and growing, so we need to be aware of our own changes. Then we also need to be aware of what motivates and inspires others. You can understand the emotions, needs, and concerns of other people. You pick up on emotional cues, feel comfortable socially, and recognize the power dynamics in a group or organization. And then also you know how to develop and maintain good relationships, communicate clearly, inspire others, and work well on a team. You manage conflict by recognizing what other people's strengths and talents are. Part of emotional intelligence is keeping your eyes on the prize. You need to make sure that you stay focused on what is best for the children. And so that's always primary, is keeping your eyes on the prize and recognizing what is best for the children. Number 2 is a biggie, and you can think of it by saying Q-tip. And Q-tip stands for quit taking it personally. If you have a habit of taking things personally, it means that you're apt to assume someone is directing some form of aggression towards you when they could just be joking or having a bad day. It might be your instinct to react emotionally, but pause for a second. Maybe it's not about you. Learn how to control your emotions and not jump to conclusions. Make sure you refocus your attention. Number 1, look at how that person treats others. Secondly, consider the other person's insecurities. Number 3, keep in mind that the other person may have poor communication and emotional management skills. Remind yourself that you don't need anyone's approval. If someone isn't happy with you, it doesn't mean that you've done something wrong. In many cases, it means that person isn't happy with themselves and expects you to fill in the blanks, which is impossible. Last but not least, stop taking compliments personally too. Don't base your self-worth on how often people compliment and validate you. By doing so, you are allowing others to decide how you feel about yourself. If someone compliments you, it's no more personal than a direct insult. They are simply calling it as they see it, and that may or may not be accurate. Only you can be the judge of that. It doesn't make you a better person. It makes them a better person because they are taking the time to be supportive and encouraging. Your value remains unchanged because it is something that comes from within us. Sometimes we are faced with challenges that make it difficult to access our EQ or emotional intelligence. When we feel threatened or stressed, there is a small almond shaped gland in the middle of our brain. It's called the amygdala. You can see it here on the screen. The amygdala triggers adrenaline or cortisol to flood our bodies and can cause us to lose it. This is also called the fight or flight response. When this happens, we lose our perspective. Knowing what things generally cause you to have a strong emotional response can help prepare you to watch for it when the topic comes up. As we learn to watch for our own responses to topics, we can also learn to read others' reactions, understanding that they have their hot buttons as well. Some people show stress by getting red, blotchy spots on their face or neck. Some purse their lips. Some people have difficulty maintaining eye control or eye contact. Looking for these signals can help us to judge if they are in fight or flight mode. Another part of our brain, the OFC or the orbital frontal cortex, restores our professionalism. It takes a lot of EQ to balance and calm the amygdala. To achieve this balance, we need time to reflect on what is going well and what is not going well. This allows us to step to the side to regain perspective. This is a task that will go into the important but not urgent quadrant of the time management matrix, which will be discussed in a different assignment. Giving ourselves time to reflect on interactions helps us prepare for future situations. It's also a way to judge if we are giving ourselves the time we need to be prepared. We also need backup support to help us remember to use the communication tools that we've learned. And here are some ways to build in daily reminders. And so these are on the screen. You'll see different ways to regain emotional intelligence or to regain our EQ. Take time to reflect. Think about what is going well, what is not going well. You may have posters with inspirational pictures and sayings on your wall. Write little notes to yourself or different cue cards, things that you can look at to keep yourself encouraged and to keep yourself grounded. And additional tools that you might have are different video clips. And this picture on here is old, but you can something from whether it's Pinterest, YouTube, different audio clips, or different websites, or different support network. Sometimes it's nice to be able to talk to another director or administrator when you are going through a hard time. And so, in addition to reminders, we also need tools in our toolbox to support becoming an effective communicator. And which I mentioned before, making sure that you have different video clips on YouTube, audio clips from favorite authors, and the best and fastest tool to have in your toolkit is a network of people who are also working to become better communicators. And so those are things that you can use to help you to maintain your emotional intelligence as you deal with the stresses of being a director or an administrator in early care and education.